Welcome everyone. In today's video we're going to be discussing updated questions. We get these calls every day. Do you have the 2025 questions since this is 2025? Next year, do you have 2026 questions? Last year they said 2024 questions. Something I've talked about repeatedly. The questions really don't change. How they ask the question changes. One day it's going to say, what is the complementary color of yellow? The answer is violet. The next day it's going to say, if you've taken the decolorizer, which is the state board word for bleach, off your client's hair, and your client says to you, my hair is too yellow, what color toner do you put? You put a violet toner. The next day the question will say, what toner will neutralize unwanted yellow tones? And the answer is, surprisingly, violet. Violet is the opposite color of yellow, also called a complementary color. When you mix complementary colors together, they neutralize each other. When they say complement, they don't mean like, when your mom said, oh, you look really good in that dress, or you look really good in that suit. That's a whole different kind of compliment. Complementary colors are colors found directly opposite on the color wheel. Yellow and violet, orange and blue, red and green. Years ago, I had a very funny student in my class named Summer, and she was a big sports fanatic. She said, oh, that's pretty easy. Yellow and violet, like the LA Lakers uniforms, okay? And blue and orange, the New York Knicks. And red and green, well, if you're a fool, you know it's Christmas. Mm-hmm. Everyone laughed, but she made a good point, okay? On the test, understand complementary colors and all the different ways they can ask you the same basic question. And this is what people just don't understand. The questions really, the root of the question doesn't ever change. They're asking you, what is the opposite color of yellow? Whether it says the complementary or it gives you a real world scenario, you've taken the bleach foil off the hair, it's too yellow, the questions really don't change. So don't be so fanatical for the updated, most recent questions. Understand the concept. Now this book, which is the barber book that most barber students still have at this point, came out in 2017. Now this is 2025. That means it was 8 years ago. Now a new book came out earlier this year in January. Most barber students don't have it. It's not currently being tested very much because the students that started school in January or February haven't graduated yet. That said, there are some questions in that book. Now, I don't think this is fair, but they don't care what I think. They didn't ask me. If you take our private classes, or if you get our study guide with nothing but questions and answers, it will give you the newest questions from the barber book that you don't even have. Now, this cosmetology book came out in 2016. It's 9 years old. It's the book that most of you are studying with. This one came out last year. It's been out a year and a half. This is the book that they're heavily testing from. Again, it doesn't really matter if you understand the concept. Every one of these books talks about the complementary color of yellow. Every one of these books asks you about what do you do if the person's skin is sunburned, and this is a cosmetology question. You're doing makeup on a person whose face is sunburned. Their face is red. What color foundation do you put? Green, because what is the complementary color of red? Green. This is the things you need to understand. You cannot memorize thousands of possible questions. You have to understand the basic. If you do, you do. If you understand that 7 and 7 is 14, I could ask you that question 1,000 different ways. If you still understand that 7 and 7 is 14, you will answer the question every time. Now, if you want to guarantee you pass your test, again, we have this book. There's about 800 questions. The question, the 4 possible answer choices like on your test, the correct answer is below it, and then below that it gives you the page in all the different textbooks for those of you who are interested to go read more about it. People say, oh my God, 800 questions, I can't learn that. Well, if you can't learn that, you also can't pass your test, because these are the questions they pull from. You will see as you study the same question asked a dozen times, just worded differently, because this is what the state does. We also do private tutoring. So I'm losing my voice today, sorry about that. We also do private tutoring. It's 7 classes done through your phone, just you and the instructor, so it's very personal, very private. Doesn't matter where in the country you are, you're a phone call away, right? It's done using FaceTime or WhatsApp, so you're looking and talking in real time with the instructor. They will walk you through whatever textbook you have, and they will show you page by page exactly what the question is. For example, those of you with this book, on page 82, it says, on what fingers should the barber not wear rings to avoid messing up the haircut? The index and middle finger. It's a sentence straight out of the book. In this book, there's a question that says, how large should your disinfectant container be? There's no state regulation for size, but they give you ridiculous answers like, let's say, 18 by 26 inches or 42 ounces. The answer is very simple. Found word for word in your textbook. It says large enough that everything you put into it is submerged by the disinfectant. I had many years ago a very bright student, he was Hungarian, and he said very seriously, what's submerged? It didn't occur to me till that minute, he didn't understand the word. I mean, it says covered by, immersed. These are all the fancy words they use. Submerged, immersed. If you don't understand these vocabulary words, you can't pass the test. Submerged, immersed, covered. The liquid must be higher than everything in it. That's all you've got to keep in mind. Now, I'm going to wrap up this video with a couple of sales points, because that's how the company stays in business. They sell things, right? You're going to do hair. Chances are you're not going to do it for free, because that's how you pay your bills. Okay, they pay their bills by selling these books. Again, very state specific. You can order it on the company website, www.cosmetologystateboardexam.com. On the left side, it shows you all the products. It begins with E-ZPass, then there's cosmetology, barber, esthetician, and nail technology. Let me take a minute on the E-ZPass. First of all, this book takes about 3 or 4 days in the mail. It has roughly 800 questions, and I say roughly because it's very state specific. It's not exactly the same in any 2 states. The E-ZPass material is an instant PDF. Boom, it's there. Depending upon your state, it has between 150 and 175 questions. It has the most commonly asked questions. Do not kid yourself that it has every question, because it doesn't. I could go online, I could do a research and ask what are the most commonly occurring 6 lottery numbers. Okay, it's a very easy search. It'll tell you. Now, betting those 6 numbers in your next lottery ticket doesn't guarantee you win, does it? Because if that were true, we'd all be rich by now. But it does give you kind of a heads up. Okay, you know which numbers tend to come up the most. This is E-ZPass. It's designed for people whose test is coming up in the next 2, 3, 4 days. You don't have time to wait in the mail, and you don't have time to read and learn 800 questions. If you are very pressed for time, your test's coming up tomorrow, E-ZPass is a great option. It's there instantly, and it gives you the most commonly asked questions. If you have time, don't get E-ZPass. Get the book and get every question and answer in the page to research more about it. Give us a call if you have any questions, 760-534-4434. Be sure to subscribe to our page. Not only will it help us, it will help you, because you'll see 80 or 90 other videos we've done. Okay, go to the bottom of the company's webpage, cosmetologystateboardexam.com. In the left-hand corner is a little icon. Click on it. You'll subscribe to every video. And I want to close this by saying one thing. Those of you in California, go on to the barbercosmo.ca.gov. barbercosmo.ca.gov. That is the California Barber Cosmo website. Now, I say California because only California does this. Up in the top right-hand corner, there's a search box. Type in schools. And when schools open, type in pass rates. And the page will open up. And it's a very painful page for a lot of school owners. It It starts with barbers, then it goes to cosmetology, aesthetics, nail technology. It gives you an alphabetical breakdown of every school in the state. It gives you their pass rate and their failure rate for every quarter going back 5 years. And you will see that the same schools are on the top all the time, the same schools on the bottom. And I leave you with this closing thought. I'm not going to name names, but the really fancy, well-known, national, super expensive schools are usually have the lowest pass rates. The little, small, private, independent schools usually have the highest pass rates. And if you don't believe me, and I'm sure you don't, because people are like that, okay? They believe all the lies, taught to you none of the truth. Do it for yourself. Do your own research. And even if you don't live in California, do it anyway, okay? Go there and see the pass rates. When I tell you that the barber pass rate is 1 out of 3 barbers, and the Cosmo is 2 out of 4 Cosmos, I'm not making these numbers up. They are right there. www.barbercosmo.ca.gov, and I'll see you later.